Hi there, this is Solitary from Solitary Films, and welcome to another Backlog Cleared video as I slowly navigate through my enormous backlog. Today I have finally watched all my Plain Archive releases. Plain Archive is a Korean company that I blame Hoos and A Touch of Film for introducing me to Plain Archive. I don't have a lot of Plain Archive titles. They do release some films I'm not really interested in, but then if I see them cheap on eBay, I do tend to buy one just because the work and care that they put into the presentation, they are quite lovely if you like things like boxes and artwork and actually putting artwork inside the box. So I'll just quickly go through them, talk briefly about the films. Some of them are numbered, some of them aren't. I've got 3 steelbooks, so I'll start with the 2 steelbooks and then show you the third one last, because that's in a lovely premium box. They are limited and numbered. Some are multi-region, some are region A. So we'll start with Steelbook 2, which is I Saw the Devil by Kim Ji-woon, which is a wonderful gory serial killer film with titans of Korean cinema, Lee Byung-hun and Choi Min-sik. And again, with Plain Archive, you get little art cards and other art cards. You get booklets. Just lots of really nice little touches. And again, they really do put a lot of effort into their stuff. So the second, this is Steelbook number 3, which is Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. I mean, I'll probably lose subscribers, but I have to admit that I like Paul Thomas Anderson films. I don't necessarily love Paul Thomas Anderson films. Every film that I've seen of his I do really like, but I wouldn't necessarily go ape crazy on all 4s for them. They're always beautifully acted, beautifully shot. Again, you always get the lovely Plain Archive envelopes with a little seal for art cards, and in this case a nice little booklet. Again, this one is a really good film about essentially a cult leader, proving how good an actor Philip Seymour Hoffman is or was, and for me also proving that Joaquin Phoenix just tries a little too hard to be like a great actor, in my opinion. Again, another really good Paul Thomas Anderson film, but again, I'm not as high on it as other people are. But it's just preference. My opinion is not fact. So we'll get to the standard editions, even though we're Plain Archive, none of them are really standard editions. This is Spine number 1, Lars von Trier, Melancholia. I have to say I'm not that au fait with Von Trier's work. I do have a bunch of his films in the backlog, to get through. But strangely enough, this was what I thought Von Trier would be like. It's funny, I don't have a lot of experience with Fellini. So I watched 8.5 for the first time last year, and it pretty much was what I thought Fellini would be, which is moments of sheer genius, but also moments of self-indulgence. Melancholia was what I thought Lars von Trier would be, which was moments of just absolute brilliance and genius mixed in with moments that were really frustrating and annoying. You can tell me in the comments below whether that runs through all of von Trier's work, but the pre-title sequence is just jaw-droppingly amazing. Once the wedding night is over with, it turns into an amazing film. If I have to be honest, the wedding night could have been a lot shorter for me. I think it was pretty self-indulgent and just indulging in actors. I mean, it's got an amazing cast, but I just feel the wedding night just went on far too long. But once that's over, it does turn into quite an amazing film. And like I said, the pre-title sequence is just stunning. Again, watch it on as big a screen as possible. Kirsten Dunst is amazing. I've always liked Kirsten Dunst. And I'm looking forward to watching more Von Trier, even though, again, large chunks of it were amazing and some chunks of it were quite annoying, but again, that's just my opinion. Next, spine number 10, which I've shown a few times in this channel before. Jarmusch, Only Lovers Left Alive. In my opinion, one of the best films of the 21st century. Jarmusch's take on vampires with Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston and John Hurt. Again, you get a nice booklet, and again, lovely artwork and lovely envelope with goodies. Again, I'm not going to expose the goodies too much. Just a great film. Again, another wonderful score by Squirrel, amongst other people. Jarmusch's music is always great in these films. Next is spine number 12. It's Ida by Paweł Pawłowski, which is a beautiful black and white film about a nun. It's right up there with my favourite nun films. Obviously not at the top, because that's Black Narcissus. Somebody's going to have to do an amazing nun film to beat Black Narcissus in my top 10 nun films. Again, simple, spare, not very long, doesn't outstay its welcome. And again, the nefarious, they even put like embossed seals on some of them. You almost feel bad sometimes actually breaking the seal, so to speak. So that's Ida. Spine number 13 is the Dardenne Brothers 2 Days 1 Night, which I did a random review on of the channel. Brilliant performance by Marion Cotillard. As you can see, they do like put artwork and colour inside the boxes. Lovely pink to match her t-shirt for most of the film. Again, just beautiful stuff that they give you. This is a really wonderful film. If you're allergic to pink, then best not to pick this one up. Just a fable about today's society when workers in a factory get to vote for a bonus, but if they vote for the bonus, Marion Cotillard loses her job. It's just a wonderful little film. Next is a film by Lenny Abrahamson that again I've done a video on the channel, and I'm so sad that I did actually pick up both versions of the Plain Archive. This is number 14 and it's Frank. This is a lenticular edition. Coca-Cola Lipstick, Ringo, Dance All Night, Dance All Night. That is his most wonderful song. This is one of Michael Fassbender's finest performances, even though he wears a big head for most of the film. Again, I did a random review of it. I got the soundtrack because it's absolutely awesome. It didn't make my favourite 150 list of 2020, but if I do one later this year, I think it probably will, because I've watched it again and it's just absolutely wonderful. A story about Donald Gleeson, who has no talent but he dreams of being a musician and a star and a celebrity. Again, you can see his artwork inside the box. And he comes across this strange band, the Sauron for Buzz, fronted by Frank, who just wears a big head all the time. And he sees the potential of the band, even though they're a complete art house band. And he's perfectly happy to take over the band and wheedle his way in and essentially ruin the band's chemistry because he wants to be famous rather than actually having any talent. It's just a wonderful film. It's funny. The sense of humour is not for everybody. And there's the standard edition because I'm that sad. The soundtrack's wonderful. Again, more little Franks in the inside. Again, a little booklet and slightly different artwork. And again, the ubiquitous yellow envelope full of goodies. It's just a wonderful film. Took me by surprise, blew me away. I've been kind of going through Abrahamson's work. I'll be doing an In the Frame on Abrahamson relatively soon. But Frank is just amazing and well worthy of the two editions. Next is number 15, which again gives you a good idea of the kind of strange range in Plain Archive releases. This is Ernst and Celestine, which is a lovely little French animation about the relationship between a bear and a mouse. It's quite beautiful, hand drawn. The animation is just simple but elegant, and it's a wonderful story. A pleasure for all the family. Just a beautiful little film if you're in that kind of mood. Next is an example of a film I normally probably wouldn't pick up, but it was in Plain Archive and I thought it was cheaper. It's number 17. It's still Alice with Julianne Moore and Alec Baldwin, about early onset dementia. I'm not a big fan of disease films because it's usually got "please give me an Oscar" written all over it because I'm playing somebody with a disease, and it's very worthy and earnest. But this was kind of co-directed by somebody who had ALS, I believe, who actually died before it came out. And it is actually one of the better disease movies. And Julianne Moore does give a good performance without going too over the top. Originally I thought Alec Baldwin was bad casting as her husband, who's more career driven, but in actual fact it turns out to be very good casting. He does actually give a very good turn. Next is number 21. This is Tinker Ticker, which is a nice little Korean film about two rebellious teenagers who meet and end up making bombs together. Again, there's different versions of this. There's a bigger special edition of it. I think there's a steelbook edition as well, and again you get booklet. I mean, I'll probably have to, I will rewatch it at some point. I wouldn't say it's a great film, but it's still very good and well worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of bombs. Number 26 is Chaplin's Modern Times. I've still to rewatch a bunch of Chaplins, but I think this is probably my favourite one because I think it is still relevant. Obviously some of his other films are relevant as well, but and it's not as maudlin or sentimental as some of his films are. Again, you get a booklet and little cards. That's Modern Times. And next is number 30, which was actually the first Plain Archive I got, which is Old Boy, which does have a ton of little stuff. Again, nice little artwork in the inside of the box. If you like your artwork in the inside of a box, then that's certainly, again, you kind of get nice images and pictures in the booklet. Then you also get the film, which is quite handy. This also has the little documentary, and you don't know whether you can see the embossed thing is actually a hammer. It's just the little details that they put in that are rather nice. Again, it's about whether the film's actually good or not, but sometimes the packaging's rather nice as well, from an aesthetic point of view. Next is a Seongsu film, which again I did a random review of. It's just coincidence that I've done quite a lot of Plain Archive random reviews. This is Right Now, Wrong Then, and this is spine number 31. This is an interesting little film, very subtle, about two scenarios with two people meeting, and just subtle little differences in their behaviour can result in different endings. Again, not flashy, not show-offy, very subtle. Everything's kind of shot in medium, no close-ups. It's just a strange little odd film. You have to be in the mood for it, I would say. You need to get into a certain rhythm with it, but it's very worth your while, I think. This is spine number 32. This is The Silenced, which is another again, artwork inside. This is another schoolgirls film where strange things are going on. Not the best one, I would say, of girls' schools where strange things are going on. But again, certainly worth seeing. But it's a little over long, I would say. Next is number 34. This is Rogerless with Billy Crudup. This was directed by William H. Macy. Again, I didn't even realise that William H. Macy had directed a film until I kind of stumbled across this, just because it was a Plain Archive. This is a nice companion piece to We Need to Talk About Kevin. Anton Yelchin is in it, and there's a nice RIP, and there's actually a guitar pick that they put in with it, which is just really classy. Again, not going to give too much of the plot away, but it's just about, again, the disc is like a guitar. Again, it's just a beautiful little film in actual fact. I was really surprised by it, and a really nice job by William H. Macy. Another really good turn by Billy Crudup, who is one of kind of most underrated actors about, I think. Yeah, a really nice little film. This is number 35, which is definitely a film I probably wouldn't have bought if it wasn't in Plain Archive. It's Southpaw with Jake Gyllenhaal, directed by the master Antoine Fuqua, who I, strangely enough, don't have any of the other films. But this is actually a decent boxing picture. Pretty much driven by Gyllenhaal's, as usual, fairly method performance. Also a really nice turn by Forrest Whitaker, as usual. And it's got a nice kind of slightly different story to the usual boxing tropes. But again, not a film that I would normally buy. But it's a decent film. It's probably the best Fuqua film that I've seen. Next is number 37. Denis Villeneuve's Sicario. Again, not his best film, but still pretty good, with some really good set pieces, and obviously with all Villeneuve films that look stunning. He really knows how to make a well-mounted film. That's Sicario. Next is number 38, the only Ben Wheatley film that I have. That's High Rise. Again with Tom Hiddleston, who I'm not a huge fan of, but it's also got Jeremy Irons giving a wonderful Jeremy Irons performance, as you'd expect from Jeremy Irons. This is actually a wonderful little film as well. From a novel by Ballard. Next is Spy number 40, which is Corridors Still Walking, which has got a lovely oil painting feel. And again, this is a lovely little film. Of the green envelope full of goodies. Next, number 43, it's Macbeth by Justin Kurzel with Fassbender and Marion Cotillard, which is visually ravishing. It's an absolutely stunning looking film. Again, there's a castle under the... I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. The last battle scene with fire and it's orange, it's just absolutely beautiful. Fassbender really does a good turn as Macbeth. It's perhaps not the best Macbeth, but again, there's moments that are absolutely beautiful. You get a real feel for dirt and the kind of sense of when it was actually set. It's a really beautiful film. And it's a lovely edition of it. Next is Yongsoon, which is Spy number 44, which is a Korean film about, if I'm being honest, quite an annoying teenage girl who takes out her family frustrations by signed up for the running team. Again, I would say it's a good film, but if I'm being honest, the central character did annoy me a little bit. I wasn't fully engaged with her, I have to say. Spine number 46 is Will You Be Here, with the nice lenticular cover. Again, I did a random review on this as well. A film that I really shouldn't like, but absolutely adored. It's about time travel and trying to right the mistakes you've made. Again, if it was an American film, well, it wouldn't be as good, but I wouldn't really bother with it. Again, there's people in the inside cover, but because it's Korean, it's just beautifully acted, beautifully made, and quite wonderful. Number 54 is Villeneuve's Incendie, which I do think is arguably the best film of the 21st century, if you don't count a certain documentary. About the effects of war, how it affects families, ravages families, even though sometimes we don't know what the consequences of that is until very much later. Again, a stunning looking film, as all of Villeneuve's films are. Interested to see how he does with Dune, but he really impressed me with Blade Runner 2049, so I don't think Dune's going to be a bad film, and it will look absolutely gorgeous. That's Incendie. If you haven't seen it, Incendie is awesome. This one doesn't have a spine number. It's The Beauty Inside, which strangely enough I did a random review of. You can check that out in my random review sections. This one is a big fold out poster, which I'm not going to fold out. Again, this is a film that, as I said in the review, I shouldn't really like, but I really liked it a lot. Just got a tiny wee dinky envelope in that. This is about somebody who wakes up every day and they have a different face. Sometimes they're a different sex, and how they deal with that and how they try and form a relationship with somebody. Again, it's a film that I should really hate, but because it's Korean, because it's made so beautifully, acted so beautifully, perhaps doesn't ask the challenging questions about that kind of thing. It just kind of glosses over a couple of things, like, you don't know who somebody's going to be when they wake up, and that can be, a metaphor for living with an abusive partner or somebody who has Alzheimer's or mental health issues. You don't know what they're going to be like when they wake up in the morning. Whereas it kind of goes for more the kind of romantic side. But it's just so exquisitely done and beautifully acted that you just go with it, even though the cynic inside you desperately wants not to like it, and it's like, but you kind of just do. Well, that was me anyway. Again, this one isn't labelled. It doesn't kind of look like a plain archive, but it does have a plain archive sticker, and it's got plain archive down the bottom. I think they do some shared ones again. Who's a Touch of Film? If you go check out his channel, I'm sure he'll be able to explain it a lot better than me. But this is Veteran, which is so much fun. Again, you would think because it's Veteran it's about soldiers, but it's not. It's about gangsters and cops. But it's just done so enjoyably. It's not realistic in any way, but it's just so much fun. It's a little over long, but it's an absolute blast. Again, I did a random review of it, strangely enough. And if you can get your hands on it, or even in a standard edition of it, it's well worth your time if you like Korean cinema, because it's an absolute blast. And finally, the premium steelbook that I have, which again I've done an unboxing of probably 18 months ago or something, is Jarmusch's Patterson, which is just a beautiful little film. It's one of his more underrated films because it's really quiet. It's about Adam Driver, who's a bus driver and part-time amateur poet. and it really kind of struck a nerve with me at the end. And if you've seen a lot of Jarmusch films, there's an actor who turns up at the end who you'll be familiar with. So you get a lovely deluxe little book. You get a selection of poems and cards by Carlos Williams, who kind of the Patterson character is perhaps based on. You get a little pin. You get a pencil. You also get the steelbook. So this is steelbook number 18, I believe, of Patterson. I think this came out, there was like 2 editions. I only bought the one, I'm not crazy. Again, a beautiful package, and you also get, which is a very nice touch, you also get a little notebook. You also get a little notebook to write your own poems in, which I think is a lovely little touch, and it's a beautiful little box. So obviously I'm just odd. You don't have to go to this length to see Patterson. There's plenty of standard editions of Patterson, but it is one of these underrated films just because it's a little quiet character piece. Not much happens. There's lots of kind of shots of his routine, going out the house, coming into the house, driving a bus, coming out of the garage, driving the bus. But if you like Jarmusch, it is a beautiful little film. So that's my Plain Archive backlog cleared. I can go continue several other labels with my backlog because there's plenty to choose from. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know if you have any Plain Archives and what your favourite one is, or which film out of that list is your favourite. And hopefully you'll join me again as I plough my way through my backlog, which is going to take a couple of years. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying farewell.